Welcome to the Revival Method podcast, where we teach you actionable steps that you can take to start moving, thinking, and feeling better. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another Revival Method podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brandon Parker, and I have to say, it's been absolutely gorgeous outside. You have birds chirping, you have leaves on the floor, which means seasons are changing. It also means that I'll be doing a lot of raking this weekend, but small price to pay for how beautiful it's been outside. Today's episode's all about me being inspired by a conversation that I had earlier today. We had a light bulb moment with one of my clients, and I feel like the things that we talked about during this phone call can most likely serve all of you. The topic might be a little bit controversial for some people, but I feel like by the end of the podcast, you'll see where I'm coming from, and it shouldn't be controversial at all. But before we get into that, I do have a few things to ask. First and foremost, if you're somebody that's been listening to this podcast and you've been getting a large amount of value from it, please take the 5 seconds that it would take to hit the 5-star review, subscribe to the show, and if you want to take it a step further, share it with somebody that might benefit from it. By you doing that, that's going to tell the algorithm, hey, this show's actually worth listening to, and you should send it to other people in a similar demographic. And what that's going to do, it's going to help me have the meta impact I've been looking to have. It's one thing to have followers, and let's be real, you don't actually make meaningful steps by just following somebody. But you will make meaningful steps if I give you specific step-by-step things that you can focus on by diving into the nuance. I wish I could do this on Instagram, but the algorithm just doesn't fit that type of medium or message. So I have to be super short on that platform, but I actually can go deep on this platform. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we just released a scholarship, meaning that there's going to be one lucky winner that's going to get 3 months free coaching from me and my team. I want to give this opportunity to as many people as possible. So if you're a part of my newsletter, if you're a part of my community, I've already released this special form that you would fill out to enter to win. Now, I didn't tell anyone about this. I really do love to podcast. I really do love to get into the nitty gritty and help as many people as possible. And your feedback has been amazing. So to reward the podcast listeners, if you DM me the word podcast, I will send you the form, and that will allow you to enter to win. And I'll also put a small asterisk there. So I will give your response a little bit more weight. If you're somebody that's already put in your name to the potential chance of winning the coaching, and you're now listening to this episode, you can still send me the word podcast, and I will be able to add that to the form before we draw a winner. All that to say, I'm super excited about that. I will be announcing a winner pretty shortly here, but I have to read through all the responses. So without further ado, I made the announcements that I need to make. Let's get on with the topic of the day. So just like how the title suggests, I believe that your meal plan and your training plan is the reason why you're crashing and burning, the reason why you keep regaining the weight or not losing the weight to begin with. And it's not because the plans that you were given are faulty. I mean, they might be. I don't know. I can't speak that general, or I can't be that general when it comes to that. But most likely, the underlying principles behind why you are not making the progress that you're making is because you're skipping a very important step in the process. And that's gaining the foundational awareness and knowledge that you need to navigate this world. You see, when somebody gives you a meal plan, somebody gives you a training program, there's no thought process behind it when it comes to participating in it. It's just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I understand how that can help and work for some people, especially if their bandwidth isn't large enough to take on the extra task of learning. But if you do not integrate this process of learning, you're going to end up crashing and burning, because this paper or this program is a black and white thing. It's not living and breathing. But guess what? You are, and you live in a world full of gray. So what happens when your meal plan's telling you that you can only eat grilled chicken, rice, and broccoli every meal of the day, and all your friends are going out to eat and enjoying their 1 to 2 drinks or whatever it may be? Well, now you feel like you are either isolated from your friend group, or you go out, you try to pick the best thing you can on the meals, you don't feel satisfied, and then you get to this point where you're building up this craving of just saying F it and going back to your old ways. That doesn't work. But instead of blindly following this plan, you learn the basics, you learn the principles. So when life throws you a curveball, you can pivot because you understand the underpinnings or the inner workings of how nutrition works, right? So please, if you're listening to this and you are adopting this mindset of just tell me what to do and I'll do it, I'll grind till I get to this point, understand that you're setting yourself up for failure. And a thought just came to my mind right now is this might actually be paired with this thought process that once I get to this weight loss goal, I'm going to be happy. Once I get to this point, I can do XYZ. You are setting yourself up for failure because you're viewing this weight loss or this lifestyle change with an end point, like a finish line. But there is no finish line when it comes to being healthy, right? That is the difference between a finite and infinite game. A finite game is this is the start, this is the finish, these are the rules, there's winner and losers. An infinite game, the whole purpose of being a part of an infinite game, which is life in general, is there are really no rules. There is no start, there is no real finish. The whole point of the game is to stay in the game, right? To be healthy, you want to stay healthy. You don't win at being healthy, right? So, all that to say, what are some general things that you can learn that's going to allow you to pivot when you are not able to be in a circumstance of eating the proper foods that are aligned with your goals? Okay, well, let's start at the top. The big thing that's going to dictate whether or not you are gaining, losing, or maintaining weight is going to be how much energy you are consuming and how much energy you are burning. Remember, your body only cares about survivability. So, if you are going to eat more energy than what you burn, your body will say, okay, instead of just getting rid of all this great energy, let's store it for later. That's all fat is, energy storage for later, okay, in this circumstance. So, by you simply understanding that you might have more stored energy than other people and more than what you would like, you just have to influence that equation in your favor. Okay. So, how do we do that? Well, it starts off with understanding what you are currently eating. I do this all the time with my clients. The people that are reluctant to track their food, I have them guesstimate how many calories, how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat is in the typical meals that they eat from day to day. And the specific example that popped up today was my client really likes to go to Wawa. I don't know if Wawa is in your state, but it's a gas station with a convenient food that they make on the go. And he likes the milkshakes. And I told him, well, I never want you to restrict the foods that you like because when you build up a craving, you'll end up giving into that craving and just overeating. I would rather you try to find a way to moderate that craving, enjoy the foods that you want to eat, and still lose the weight that you're looking to lose. So I had him guess. I said, all right, what do you typically get at Wawa? He goes, 24 ounces, strawberry milkshake. I get whipped cream on it. I said, okay. How many calories do you think that's in? And he said, I think it's probably going to be somewhere around 500 calories. I said, all right, I'll look it up. Is that going to be your final guess? He goes, yeah, that's my final guess. I said, what if I told you it was actually 600? He goes, wow, I didn't think it was that much. But here's the kicker. It was actually 1,200 calories. I added 100 calories to his current guess and he was blown away. But then I actually gave him the real number, double double of the number that I added 100 to. And then the light bulb moment kicked. He goes, oh my God, I'm eating almost half of what I should be eating in my daily calories. and one milkshake. That was like a freeing moment for him because he was so confused. He was grinding away. He was exercising like crazy. He was doing everything that he thought was perfect, and yet he wasn't losing the weight. And that could be the most confusing, frustrating moment because all your effort seems like it was going nowhere. But the second he realized that one of these foods were so high in calorie that it was derailing his process, it was freeing because all he has to do now is enjoy that in more moderation, adjust the foods that he was eating prior to that shake, and make it work according to the equation. We're not restricting anything. We're just making everything fit. And that's why I want my clients, and that's why I ask my clients to start tracking their food and start weighing their food. If we're being honest, it only takes about 30 seconds to a minute per meal once you get efficient and you know what you're doing. And I'm not asking them to do it for the rest of their lives, let alone like I have clients, depending on their goal, they only probably do it for 3 to 6 months. And that sounds like a really long time, but at that 6-month mark, you stare at food and you know exactly what's in that meal to the point where it's just like, okay, I don't need to weigh my food anymore. I don't need that macro calculator anymore because I have a general understanding of what I'm eating and I'm losing the weight or I'm maintaining the weight or I'm putting on muscle, and it's all through intuitive eating. And that's the goal. The goal is to have that skill set in your back pocket so you can look at foods and be like, okay, I'm gonna eat some more of this. I'm probably going to limit some of that. And that's what intuitive eating is all about. But you cannot get there. You cannot be free from food until you build the underlying understanding. So everything I'm talking about from a nutritional side is equally the same from exercise. So many people reach out to me and they say, what is the best exercise for low back pain? What is the best exercise for losing weight? What is the best exercise for restoring mobility of XYZ area? And I can sit there and I can give you a workout plan. But the second you get bored of it, the second that you don't have the equipment that you need to do that exercise routine, you're stuck. You do not know how to pivot. But that's because you didn't take the time to learn the general the general principles and the simple frameworks that you would need to know to do this on your own. So I guess the whole purpose, the light bulb moment that I want you to have here is do the boring work up front so later on you can just live a life free of this anxiety, this overwhelming feeling of it. Am I doing this right? Or do I have to do this crazy diet? Do I have to do this crazy workout to get what I need to get done? I have so many clients that I have 2 clients. Let's just talk about 2 clients. I have 2 clients that are entrepreneurs. They run this job and they work over 60 hours per week. They have no time for resistance training. So what did I do? We simply just focused on nutrition and we focused on stress management. By just doing those 2 things, one of them is down 35 pounds. The other one down, he's been with me a little bit longer, 60 pounds. I'm telling you everything that I do with them, I'm telling you. And I'm just hoping that the way that I'm speaking with conviction is going to give you that confidence to just start to do the boring work. So, what are the first steps that you should do? Download a macro calculator. Any of them work. The one that we typically use is MyFitnessPal. There's a free version. It's a little annoying because there's a lot of ads, but if you can just get past that, you don't have to spend any money. Cool. Then have a food scale. Any of them on Amazon work. Find one with 5 stars, make it cost effective for you. It doesn't have to do all these fancy things. Now that you have the necessary equipment, all you have to do is weigh the foods that you eat throughout the day. Let me give you a scenario so it makes sense. Let's say I want to have a glass of whole milk and I don't know how to weigh that. I'm going to put a glass onto the scale. It's already on. You put the glass on and it's going to say the glass weighs, I don't know, 3 ounces. And then you're going to hit the tare button. What Tear does is it's going to take those 3 ounces and remove them from the scale and set it back to 0. Now all I have to do is grab the milk that I want to drink, look at the carton or look at the nutrition label, and it will say, might say like 12 fluid ounces for 1 serving. Okay, so I just go to the fluid ounces button on on the scale. I will pour 12 fluid ounces, and now I know I had 1 serving of milk. Now all I have to do is go to MyFitnessPal, type in whole milk or 2% milk, anything like that, 1 serving. Great. Now it's logged in. Now it's going to tell you how many more calories you have throughout the day. There's no confusion. If there is a point in time where you're like, man, I didn't lose any weight, you're not going to go off this tangent and off the deep end saying, it must be my hormones, it must be this, it must be that. No, you look at your calories and you see, oh, on Saturday, I did have 4 drinks. I had 4 glasses of wine. That's like 600 calories. Okay. That's like a whole meal. That's why I probably didn't lose weight. Now you're not spiraling out of control. You have complete awareness of what happened. You don't have to be upset with yourself. You just course correct, right? So I hope that little example of how you would weigh milk gives you a little bit of an understanding on how you would do it, because I know some people are like, I'll do it, I just don't understand. It is that simple. So that is the first step. Don't even change your eating. Just weigh everything that you normally eat. And naturally speaking, like generally speaking, I would say, people typically start to eat better when they have to log their food, because for some reason, when people are like, I ate Funyuns, it's like, okay, wow, I ate Funyuns. Maybe this wasn't the most useful um, allocation of my calories, right? So after you weigh your food and you start to see how many calories you're typically eating on a regular basis, now it's a simple tweaking it for your own success. We always say that we want to eat enough protein because that's going to preserve muscle mass, if not build it. You want to make sure that you're getting enough fiber in, because fiber has a whole long list of health benefits. We want to make sure we're getting enough dietary fats in, because that's how our hormones are produced, is when we are utilizing some of the fat storage that we have. We want to make sure that we have enough carbohydrates. So many people want to cut those out of their diet, because when they cut those, they lose a lot of body weight, but the majority of that body weight is actually coming from water retention. When you lose or you don't eat as much carbohydrates, you don't retain as much water, which you see a dramatic drop in body weight, but you're not losing fat, you're just losing a bunch of water. So all that to say, you don't necessarily have to cut your carbs altogether. You can just reduce one of these macronutrients, ideally coming from your carbohydrates, because it's not essential, but it's not this complete removal altogether. I hope that makes sense. So once you start to tweak this by perhaps bringing up your protein, maybe cutting your fats a little bit because it is in excess, and then maybe keeping your carbohydrates where they're at or bringing them up or down depending on your goal, that's when you'll start to see the changes on the scale. But the thing is I don't want you to be super focused on the number. That number is going to go up and down. And if you connect your emotion to that number, your emotional state is going to be like the stock market, up, down, up, down. And it's going to be so exhausting that you're not going to want to stick with it. The only thing that I want you to tether your mentality to is, did you put effort in today? And did you do the bare minimum, which would be weighing your food, getting your sleep, getting your water, right? And there's a couple of other ones, but if you just did those, it would make a substantial difference. But I don't want to rant. I don't want to ramble any longer than I already have. I hope this has helped so many people get past that barrier that we put on ourselves. Stop looking for the easy way out, because in fact, what we view as the easy way out is the thing that's much harder, because it ends with you sabotaging. It ends with you burning out. It ends you being confused and frustrated. But if you take the time, you learn the basics of strength training, the basics of nutrition, the things that I talk about every week, I guarantee you're going to move and feel better. You're going to look the way that you want to look. And I guess I haven't really put my services out there a lot, just because we are somewhat at full capacity. But if you are somebody that is looking for help with this, reach out to me. We do one-on-one coaching, and we do help a lot of people seamlessly and effortlessly reach their goals of moving and feeling better. And I want to be able to help you. All right. I'll see you next Thursday. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stay safe.